So you're trading Bitcoin, dropped 10% in a day, and you're feeling kind of a mix of anxiousness, panic, fear, if you want to call it that. What's your next step? Because I mean, you're human after all. You're not a robot. You feel these emotions. I don't think you're trying to say to people don't feel emotions. I think you're just saying don't act on them, right? So what's your next step? You're panicking right now. You're feeling a little bit of angst. What do you do?
Yeah, so I think what you do is you step back and you say, okay, listen.
Like you physically step back.
Yeah. I mean, physically and emotionally.
Okay,
I mean, if you need to do it physically, then more power to you if that's what gets you there. But you have to be able to start to look at yourself and have that introspective look at yourself and say, okay, yes, I'm feeling fear or I'm feeling greed, but now let me step back and say, okay, what is the chart telling me? What are these factors that I'm seeing in the chart telling me? And that'll ground you. It really does bring you back to earth. In fact, I had someone recently that said, you know, when Bitcoin was trading below 19,000, they were getting close to exiting and just throwing in the towel. They remembered what I had said and what I had taught them, and they said, you know what, I stepped back, and then all of a sudden, before I knew it, Bitcoin had rallied back up, and thank goodness I didn't react to my emotion. Right. So it's that ability to look at yourself and to start thinking more robotically. And by the way, emotion's great in life, right? In love and in empathy, sympathy. I mean, those are all great times to have emotion. Just in trading, it will inevitably work against you. And I'm telling you, there are bots, there are algorithms that the institutions have that know max pain levels on both sides of the market. And they will push the market to that level, knowing that if we can get Bitcoin above this level, we'll get a bunch of people to either jump long, or if it's down to the downside, we'll get them to exit the trade, and then we'll just whip it back the other way. It's used against investors. They have to get control of their emotion.
What is short time trade in a Gareth dictionary? Is it minutes, hours, or days?
So my quickest trades are probably seconds to minutes. Those would be day trades. Those are quick scalps where you're playing counter trends. So a stock might fall into gap fill. I jump into it and we're out for 20, 30 cents. Very, very quickly. And that can happen literally in seconds, you know. Generally, my midterm holds, or let's take it one more step. So that's day trading. In swing trading, a short-term hold or a near-term hold would be days to weeks. Midterm would be weeks to months, and long-term would be months to years. By the way, what that tells you is that I'm not a big believer in long-term investing. I just am not. I've seen too many bubbles. I saw 2007, 2008, 2009. I saw 99, 2000, where long-term investors basically lost 60, 70, 80% of their portfolios, and then the emotion of it caused them to usually get out of the market at the wrong time. So I've made much, much more money by playing shorter-term moves in markets where a stock will pop 10% or 20%. I take my profits. It corrects 10, 15%. I rebuy in if I still like the thesis, and I can just do a rinse and repeat many, many times over. In fact, recently we've done that with Carvana, which, by the way, I'm not a huge fan of the company. I don't necessarily know if they'll survive long term, but the stock literally has these 50% bounces off of these $20 levels. Stock's down from like 300 and something. And so we're just swinging it. We make 20, 30%. We do it again and again and again. You can just generate so much alpha that way.
When will the markets bottom? What price will QQQ hit?
So I think the NASDAQ, this year outlook has us going down to the pre-COVID highs. I don't remember exactly what price point that is, but I think that's your target for this year. Doesn't mean we're not going to have bounces. I think right now the US dollar is at a point where it is going to come in. It's into such major resistance. I've done a lot of buying of commodity related plays like Freeport-McMoRan, GLD, SLV, GDX, because I do expect the dollar to pull back, and even Bitcoin. That should help Bitcoin since Bitcoin can be traded in US dollars. So I think for the most part, you look for those type of moves in the near term and get some money in the bank.
Question is, how low does Bitcoin, BTC, need to go to clean out all the crappy altcoins?
That's a great question, and the reason it's such a big question is because we are facing these unprecedented times, right? It's the first time in Bitcoin's history where we have this aggressive Fed moving with these huge rate hikes, and we have inflation at 8, 9, 10, 11%. And so you could go back in previous bear market cycles in Bitcoin and you never had these issues. If anything, this is going to be the worst down cycle we have ever experienced in Bitcoin. I do think it bottoms out probably between 12 and 18 months from November, so November through early 2023. But I do want to be clear is that if you compare this to the dot-coms, you have to think that it could take a while for us to get back to 68, 69,000 in Bitcoin. It took quite a long time for the NASDAQ to get back to the pre-dot-com era highs. I also think that to wipe out the nonsense, you may even have to go below my low-end target of around 12,000 on Bitcoin. I hate to say this, and I don't mean to scare anyone, and by the way, in all fair disclosure, I own Bitcoin that I'm going to be holding from around 19,000, right? A small position I started to inch in because I don't know where the low is going to be, but I'm preparing for the worst case scenario of 3,500.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race, you're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Markus Dan, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Markus Dan.